President Trump and Hamas, controversial statements and political consequences in Gaza. In recent days, President Donald Trump has made a series of notable statements regarding the situation in the Gaza Strip, particularly about the armed group Hamas. These remarks have sparked debate within the United States and drawn international attention, as they directly impact the fragile peace process between Israel and Palestine. Tensions in Gaza. The Gaza Strip has long been a hotspot of conflict between Israel and Palestinian armed groups. Among them, Hamas, an organization that controls Gaza, is frequently in confrontation with Israel and is designated as a terrorist group by many Western countries. Recently, the situation has become more complicated as Hamas has been accused of executing members of rival factions within Gaza. Videos capturing these executions have circulated widely, provoking international outrage and raising questions about Hamas's legitimacy as a governing authority. President Trump's contradictory statements. In response to the situation, President Trump issued a strong warning. In a social media post, he stated, "If Hamas continues to kill people in Gaza, which was not the deal, we will have no choice but to go in and kill them." This was a bold declaration, reflecting the U.S. administration's dissatisfaction with Hamas's internal violence. However, just hours later, Trump clarified that the U.S. would not directly intervene militarily. "Somebody will go in, but it's not going to be us." This raised questions among observers. If not the U.S., then who would take action? Israel? An international force? Or a proxy group? Throughout the week, Trump's stance shifted repeatedly. At times, he suggested Hamas could temporarily act as Gaza's police force to restore order. At other times, he appeared unconcerned about the executions, saying Hamas took out a couple of very bad gangs. But shortly afterward, he warned, "If they don't disarm, we will disarm them, and it will happen quickly and perhaps violently." Strategic diplomacy or dangerous gamble? Some analysts believe Trump is employing a maximum pressure strategy, a familiar tactic in his foreign policy approach. By issuing tough rhetoric, he aims to force Hamas to comply with the ceasefire and accept the presence of international stabilization forces. However, the constant shifts in position may undermine trust in the U.S. as a mediator. If not carefully managed, these statements could ignite a new conflict and derail the already fragile peace process. Reactions from stakeholders. Israel is believed to quietly support Trump's tough stance, as it could pave the way for future military operations. Meanwhile, pro-Palestinian groups have condemned the remarks, accusing the U.S. of enabling Israeli aggression and weakening prospects for peace. The United Nations and several European countries have expressed concern over the risk of escalating violence. They urge all parties to exercise restraint and continue dialogue rather than resort to military threats. Humanitarian issues and hostage developments. Alongside his military warnings, Trump also announced that the bodies of several hostages held by Hamas had been returned to Israel. He said, "They also said they're going to behave. We're going to find out if they behave, good. If they don't, we'll take care of it." The hostage situation remains a key element of the ceasefire agreement. While the return of bodies may signal goodwill, it could also be a tactic by Hamas to buy time and avoid retaliation. Domestic political impact. Trump's statements affect not only foreign policy but also domestic politics. His tough stance reinforces the image of a strong leader, an image that resonates with many of his supporters. However, the contradictions have drawn criticism, with some accusing him of inconsistency and recklessness. Conclusion. President Trump is playing a high-stakes diplomatic game in the Middle East. While his statements may be tactical, they carry serious risks if not carefully managed. As he seeks to project strength, the world watches closely, because in Gaza, a single word can spark a new war.